lot. Okay, so 2 6 plus 1 6 equals 3 6, and always remember to reduce so you can get a half. Now what if I add in an extra pizza in here? Then what would my fraction be?
Well, then you would just be adding 2 halves, which would be 3/3. Sorry, 3 halves.
3 halves, right. Okay, so I could write it as this. What are these type of numbers called? Yeah?
Mixed numbers.
Mixed numbers. And then what Aryaman said, 3 over 2. What are these type of fractions called?
Improper fraction.
Improper fraction. So both of these are exactly the same, but we have different forms. And so, which leads us to our next page, we have to know both forms. Okay. In grade 7 and 8, your teacher used the number line to show you guys the different format of fractions. So for example, 1 and 3/4 means that there are 4 ticks in between each whole numbers. And then since they're 1 and 3/4 is the same as counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 out of the 4 sections. Okay, so mixed number 1 and 3/4 is the same as 7 over 4 as an improper fraction. Similarly, if you have this with 9 sections and there's 4 ticks in between each number, you can see that this is 2 whole and then a quarter. So this is 2 and 1/4. All right. But on the test, I do not want you guys to be drawing number lines because it takes forever. Okay, it's a waste of time. If it helps you, sure, but otherwise, you need to know how to do it a quicker way. All right, Cypher? All right. Yeah. Okay.
Autism. I can't handle silence or loud noises, so I listen to music all the time.
Okay. Can you hear me as well, though?
Yeah.
You can hear both?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine then. So right here, to change it from a mixed number to improper fraction, the shortcut is to multiply and add. So 6 times 4 is 24, plus the 1, you get 25 on the numerator. The 6 stays the same, it doesn't change. So 4 and 1/6 is the same as 25 over 6 as an improper fraction. Now, to go from improper fraction to a mixed number, which you have to do every single question, all right? You have to change your final answer back to a mixed number. You have to do what's long division. How many of you remember long division? Yes. You might not like it, but you good. You guys remember. So you have to see how many times 5 goes into 14. So 5 goes into 14 2 times, and a remainder of 4. So then you have the 2 whole, and then 4 over 5. In both cases, notice your denominator doesn't change. All right, your denominator stays the same. Okay, so let's try this really quickly. 5 and 1/4. Who has the answer for me? Participation marks. Aryaman.
21 over 4.
21 over 4. Welcome back. Oh, you got off the hook easy. All right, number 2. Joshua. Number 2? Yeah, 2 and 3/5. You have to do long division. 5 goes into 13 2 times. When you subtract the 10, you get remainder 3. So 2 and 3/5. Right. Number 3, Ryan.
34 over 15.
34 over 15. Good. 2 times 15 plus 4, and then you get that. Number 4, Alex.
10 and 5/7.
10 and 5/7. Okay, 7 goes into 75 10 times. Okay, when you subtract it, you get a remainder of 5. Okay, number 5, Richard.
65 over 8.
65 over 8. Good. 8 times 8, 64 plus 1, you get 65 over 8. And then number 6, Cypher.
3 and 1/5.
Good. long division. 5 times 3 is 15 with a remainder of 1, so 3 and 1/5. As I said, I am going a little fast right now, but I did record this, so if you need extra time to copy any of this down, you can always go back to the video and get the answers and pause it. So now I'm going to teach you guys a little trick to long division. So let's say, give me a 4-digit number, a random 4-digit number. Shuayan?
6,969.
Okay, that's a, okay, good. Give me a single digit number. 2. That's so easy though. let's do 5. I want it to be a little tricky. Okay, can you guys change this into a mixed number for me? All right, it will be a long division, and it's gonna take quite a few lines. All right, but try it. All right, try to change this into a mixed number. You can use your calculator to help if you need. Oh, you got it?
Yeah, 1393 and 4/5.
Okay, good. Okay, so now, how long did that take you?
Not a lot.
Not too long, but at least 30 seconds, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna teach you a way that takes you 10 seconds. Okay. 6969 divided, sorry, here, let me do this first. So technically you were supposed to do this. Alright? Let me just wipe this out so you don't get mixed up. Okay, so technically you were supposed to do this. So here's my shortcut. I can divide this by 5. I get a decimal. I don't want decimal as a final answer. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take that whole right there. 1393. 1393. So 1393 times 5. I get 6,965 with a remainder of 4. So shortcut to long division. So your final answer, 1393 and 4/5. Okay. Let's try one more. Let's try another one. Let's try an even uglier number. 12987 divided by 3. Alright, change this into a mixed number. Wow, took you much. Alright. Did it go in evenly?
Yeah.
Oops. Okay, there. There, make it 13 then. What are the odds? I choose a 5-digit number and it goes in evenly. It still works?
It still holds.
Man, I should buy a lottery. Here, there. It won't work. I know this one because the 2 can never go into that 7. Okay, what did you get?
1,082 and 1/4.
Okay, let's see. So 12987 divided by 12. I'm only taking the whole number. So 1082. 1082 times 12 gives me 12984 with a remainder of 3. Okay, so therefore 1082 and then 312, which is the same as quarter. So there you go. I love teaching shortcuts. Why do the math long way when you can do it a short way? Okay. So remember this method. You can use this method on the test.
You should change the 13 to 12.
Oh, yes, I should. Yeah, there you go. This looks better. Okay, so, well, now I know that 12,987, it's divisible by 3 or 13. Okay, So now that we know how to convert into either or, we can combine them now. We can do adding fractions together. All right. When you add fractions together, what do you need? Yep.
The lowest common denominator.
Lowest common denominator, LCD. Not an LCD screen, but lowest common denominator. So between 3 and 2, your lowest common denominator is 6. Now just to go over it really quickly, a refresher, how did I get 6 if I don't see it right away? You list out the multiples of 3, you list out the multiples of 2, and then you realize that, okay, 6 is the first number that appears in both lists. So that's how I know that's a lowest common denominator between them. Right? I can't just change 2 over 3 as 2 over 6. That would be changing the whole fraction. So whatever I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top. So 2/3, I have to multiply it to get the 6. So that means I have to multiply it to get the 4. Okay? These are called equivalent fractions. So 2 times the 3 gives me 6. So 5 times the 3 gives me 15. Now that I have the denominator the same, I can just add my numerator together, and 6, then I get 19 over 6, not 12. 19 over 6. Right? Denominator doesn't change. Right? And as I said, final answer, you always have to change it back to a mixed number. So you can do the long division or the shortcut long division and get 3 and 1/6. Okay. Okay, let's try. Okay, let's try this one right here, F. Alright, 5 and 1/4 minus 2 and 1/5. Alright, so first step, I have to change it to an improper fraction. So what's this as an improper fraction? Stephen? Oh, okay. Philip? 21 over 4. Good. What about the second fraction? 2 and 1/5. Armin? 11 over 5. Good. Negative 11 over 5. Remember, you cover up that negative sign. Change your fraction and then put back that minus sign. Okay. What's my next step? Aisha?
You find the LCD, which for both of them it's each number, so for 5 and 4 and 4.
Okay, so what's the LCD between 4 and 5?
5 for, like, you multiply each number.
Oh, okay, yeah, so that is one trick where you just multiply, like kind of cross multiply to the top to get a lowest common denominator. But you still have to have a denominator on the bottom. 20, right? Okay, so last week my other class, they did this trick, but then they forgot to write the denominator. So remember, it's still a fraction, you still have to do this. So 4 times 5 gives you 20, so 21 times 5 you get 105. 5 times 4 gives you 20, so with 11 times 4 it gives you 44. Now that the denominator are the same, I can clean up my numerator. So 105 minus 44, you get 61 over 20. Is that a good final answer? Stephen? Yep.
So next number is 3 and 1 over 20.
Perfect, right. So always change it back to a mixed number if it's an improper fraction. Just like the name suggests, improper fraction, it's an improper answer. So that's why you have to convert it, yeah.
Can't we just do it like keeping the whole number?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good question. If you do the 5 minus 2 first, I don't recommend, because sometimes you will have your fraction doesn't subtract evenly, and then you'll have to borrow from the whole. So if it's adding, I do suggest. So like for example, like this, when it's adding, you can add the whole first and then deal with the small numbers, the small fractions. But in terms of subtraction, personally suggest doing the improper fraction and then simplifying it, because if let's say this was 5 and 1/4 minus 2 and 4/5, you're gonna run into the trouble, and it's gonna be like 2 and something, right? So then a lot of people forget to actually subtract from the one whole afterwards, and then they make a silly mistake. So this saves the trouble of that. But if you're comfortable with either way, it's fine. Okay? Right, so I just think this way is less easy to make a mistake. And it works for both adding and subtracting. Okay? Okay, multiply. Let's do this one. Okay, multiply. Charles.
-1/4.
Oh, that's what it simplifies to? Okay, but what do? I have three fractions.
You just multiply all the numbers on the top and multiply all the numbers on the bottom and then divide it.
Perfect, yeah, that's all I have to do. Fraction, I just multiply all the top numbers to the top numbers, bottom numbers to the bottom numbers. So 4 times 2 is 8, 8 times 5 is 40. Okay. And this I can reduce. Can I write this as a mixed number? No. Mixed number only happens when the top number is bigger than the bottom number. This is just a normal fraction, but I just have to reduce it down to -1/4. Okay? Alright, so multiplying, pretty easy. Multiplying is easier than adding and subtracting. Okay? So, whoops. What about, okay, I'm just skipping to page 15. Okay, skip to page 15. Page 14 are word problems for add and subtract, so that will be part of your homework today. Okay. But so when we have a fraction times a fraction, we know what to do. We just multiply top to top, bottom to bottom. But what if it's 2/3 times a whole number? Joshua?
So like you make the whole number, you can turn it into a fraction.
Yes.
So it becomes like, instead of just 5, it's like 5/1.
Perfect. Good job. So a lot of people forget that 5, you can always write any whole number as a fraction as well. So 5, you can always put it over 1 to make it a fraction. Then it will be just like the last example where you multiply top to the top, bottom to the bottom. So that's why 2/3 times 5 is the same as just multiplying the top, which is 10/3. And then changing it into a mixed number, you get 3 1/3. Alright. So what would 4c be? Nicole?
3/3
Okay, what's the improper fraction first?
24/7.
Yep, 24/7. And then when you convert it, you said you get 3.
I think it's
Yeah,
3/7.
yeah, 3 and 3/7. Okay. So see, a perfect example of don't skip too many steps. Okay. E. Hey, what's my first step? Argument?
Well, I mean, first you have to change the -1 3/5 into an improper fraction.
Which is
It's -8/5.
good. Okay. And then?
You do the multiplication, and then you get -24/40, which is equal to -3/5.
Good. Okay. So this Armin did it this way, where he just multiply and then reduce after. You could reduce the 8s over here, cancel out the 8s, and then get the -3/5 as well. So it doesn't matter if you reduce first or reduce last. as long as you reduce. Okay. Good. And okay, so I'll leave that. So how many of you think multiplying fraction is easy? Good. Okay. If you think multiplying fraction is easy, then dividing fraction it should be just as easy, because there's just one extra step with it. Okay. Have you guys heard of the phrase keep, change, flip? Kentucky Chicken Fried instead of KFC is KCF. Alright, so keep, change, and flip is when you divide fractions. You keep the first fraction, you change the sign, and then you flip the second fraction. Alright, so keep, change, flip. So in this first example, who can tell me what I change it to? I have to divide the two fractions. So if I rewrite it,
It would be 5/7 times 6/4.
right, keep the 5/7, change the sign, and then flip it to 6/4. So when you multiply, it's just 30/28. And then don't forget to change it to a mixed number, and you get 1 and 1/14. Yes, is that what you got? This is page 16.
Excuse the interruption. Could Hyman Mao please come to the main office? Hyman Mao, please come to the main office. Thank you.
Okay. Can you guys try this one? Number 1 right here. Try this one. Wow, so many hands up already. Good. Alright, let's give the others a chance as well. Those who haven't tried it, give them a question like this should take you no more than 2 minutes. And 2 minutes is very generous. So, sometimes I would ask you guys to try a question on the spot so that you guys can time yourself. Because I see a lot of students, they know how to do it, but they ran out of time on the test. So this way you know how much time you should be spending on each of a question like this. Okay. So another 30 seconds. Okay, Jimmy. So tell me step by step.
So first step, you convert the mixed numbers into improper fractions.
Perfect.
So you get 35/8 divided by 11/3,
Good.
which is 35/8 times 3/11.
Awesome.
You get 105/88.
Okay, and my last step,
Convert it into a mixed number,
which is
1 and 17/88.
perfect. Okay, so a question like this should take you about 1 to 2 minutes to do. Okay, and if you can do that, you should have no problem with the timing on the test. Okay, how many of you got that answer? Awesome. Okay, you guys are good. Okay, last thing, very last thing I wanted to go over is just this. When we do a lot of fraction questions at once, the first thing you see like this is you would think, okay, they have the same lowest common denominator. I'm gonna do negative 28/7 minus 35/7, and then I get negative 28 minus 35, and then I get negative 63/7. But if you take a step back, what do you notice?
63 is just 9 times 7. So negative 63 is negative 9 times 7. So it's just negative. Wait, what?
Yeah, so this is the visible. But before you have to do like all this with the common denominator and stuff, what's the very first easier step?
Cancel things out.
Yeah, you can actually cancel things out on the very first step. Negative 28 over 7 is just negative 4. And 35 over negative 7 is just negative 5. So then this question actually is as simple as negative 4 minus 5. Alright, so this is a common mistake that people do as well, because your first test is on fractions. I think, okay, everything is fractions, and I'm doing lowest common denominator and all this math and all this. But if you just take a look at it, take another like 2 seconds, you'll actually see that whatever you can reduce and simplify, you should do that. Alright, so these ones right here, same thing. So this is just simply negative 6 minus 5, which gives you negative 11. Alright. Also, clean up the signs. So if you see a negative sign on the denominator, you can always combine it with the middle sign and change it to just one sign. Okay, so not too bad. We combined 2 lessons together and we're finished in 26 minutes. So your classwork / homework is to do all the questions that I skipped it and finish up to page 17. Okay, so make sure you try these word problems on page 14. That's the most important. Between adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing, adding and subtracting is the harder part. Alright, so try all these practice questions. Yeah. Okay, answers are given for some. We can take up some questions tomorrow and share some answers if you need. Alright, but for the rest of the class, let's work on these questions up to page 17.